In their franchise history, the Chargers have had only 2 instances where a player gained 100 yards rushing and receiving in the same game. The first was Lionel James in 1985 against the Bengals. Who was the other? And here's the hint. It happened last season.
Austin Eckler.
There is the horn.
I mean, Are you kidding me with that hint there, Florio?
Are you kidding?
I didn't do it. I don't write the questions. You know that every once in a while it's a very easy one, and the hint kind of put that one over the top. Without the hint, who would have known? You would have said LaDainian Tomlinson, right?
No, I would have said Austin Eckler because I just wrote about him the other day.
Yeah, right.
Against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he had 100.
There it is. There it is. All right.
Peter
gets the first pick.
Can I go? Okay,
you
listen.
Can go.
My first guy who I'm picking, even though statistically I got a couple of other guys who I like a lot better, I'm going to pick Tyrann Mathieu because to me, Tyrann Mathieu in 2019 was the impact player that pushed the Kansas City Chiefs over the top with for a large portion of the year was a mediocre defense. He willed those guys playing all over the map in the back seven. He willed those guys to the Super Bowl. And at the end of the year, I remember, talking to Andy Reid after one game, and Andy Reid said basically he had 2 guys talk to his team that week. One of them was Patrick Mahomes because Mahomes had become, even at the age of 24, a major team leader. And the other was Tyrann Mathieu. Even though he was in his first year with this team, he was the most respected guy on that defense. So I give my number 1 pick in this draft to Tyrann Mathieu.
Strong pick there, Peter. Strong pick. I was thinking about taking him first for all the reasons you said, too. I mean, the hell with stats. It does more than that. He changed the team in general, the tenacity in which they played. He had leadership. He gave them, something to stand on the defensive side of the ball, and the defense has been crappy for a lot of years. He gave them some confidence and swag, so that's a great pick by you. I was thinking about taking him with my number 1 pick as well. I'm going to go with Shaquille Barrett. I mean, come on. You want to talk about, not having to pay big money and then getting results? I mean, Shaq Barrett, led the NFL, 19.5 sacks. I mean, that's got to be the best dollar-for-dollar value you could possibly get with free agent signing. I mean, a guy of that stature that puts up that type of numbers, as we know, they can command $18, $20 million a year. And I'm sure that he might get some deal like that from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if they can figure out something like that as far as after franchise tagging him and then signing him. But either way, it was a phenomenal year by a guy who's been a really good player and was stuck in a tough spot in Denver prior to this, and then, of course, exploded when he got in the right system and got his opportunity with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, my pick, and that's a good one. That was going to be mine because I thought you were going to make a different pick, and I thought you were going to make a pick to which I was going to strenuously object because you've done this before when we've had similar categories. You've taken 2 guys and pushed them into one. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah.
I'm talking about Za'Darius and Preston Smith in Green Bay. Yes, Za'Darius and Preston Smith, package deal. Sims has already crossed that boundary. I thought he was going to do it again. He didn't. Give me that. They transformed the pass rush in Green Bay and also provided a new attitude. Hey, the Packers aren't just going to sit back and draft and develop. They are going to make moves when they need to make the team better. The leadership that Za'Darius Smith brought to the table was special for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers praised those decisions to bring in guys like that who have that leadership quality, so it worked out well for the Packers. Not well enough. They didn't get to the Super Bowl, but they had a much better year than anyone expected, in large part because of Za'Darius and Preston Smith.
Yeah, hard to argue that.
Okay. I'm going to, I really wanted Za'Darius Smith. And I thought of Preston Smith, and I probably should take him because he was great too. Not as great as Za'Darius. But I'm going to go with a guy who because I'm sort of big on veteran guys who come in for reasonable money and they make their team so much better in part by their presence. Okay. And so I'm going to pick Mark Ingram.
Gosh.
He basically turned down the same money in New Orleans to go to Baltimore. Relatively the same money. And it's almost like he went to Baltimore because he wanted to spread his wings and he wanted to be the guy. Watch him coming out of the tunnel right here. He wanted to be the guy to go to the podium and say, I'm here, get on my back, we're going to win it all. And because that's the attitude this guy has, he had it the whole year. He played better than I thought he would play, both in the running and passing game. He made it possible, basically, in my opinion, for Lamar Jackson to do a lot of the crazy things that he did because everybody said, hey, we got to stop Mark Ingram. And so to me, I think Mark Ingram basically outplayed the value of his contract. I think a lot of people around the NFL were surprised in that, but he's my easy second-round pick here.
Yeah, that's another good one. I mean, it's right along the lines with your first pick there, Honey Badger. It changes the locker room, changes the attitude of a football team. His ability to hit the hole and hit it at 100 miles per hour and have no hesitation makes Lamar Jackson keeping the ball off the edge that much more dangerous. All right, I'm not sure what the rules are of this draft, okay? But hey,
something's going to happen.
Well,
Mike.
we know anybody that's tagged and traded, right, has got to be part of this conversation. That's part of free agency, right? Well, to me, this maybe doesn't classify as a free agent signing, but it happened during free agency, okay? And this is what I'm going with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, come on. Can we make that or no? Is that no?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If it takes you that long to explain why you're doing it, in your heart you shouldn't be doing it.
Well,
right?
Okay, but there's players like Jadeveon Clowney too, where he didn't get traded until the summertime, but it was part of the free agency and him getting tagged. So, does he count?
I thought you were going to go Frank Clark or Dee Ford, simple tag and trade. Ryan Tannehill was under contract. There was no tag or trade. He was just a guy who was under contract who was traded. He's not part of the free agency discussion. No, I have ruled. I need a gavel for this stuff.
I'll take that. That's fine. I just needed some ruling. Just needed some leadership here on the show.
No,
That's
wait,
all I
sustained.
needed. Okay.
Sustained.
Okay. All right,
Make another pick.
All right. My other pick then, I'm going to go with Teddy Bridgewater. Even though it's not the sexiest thing in the world. He makes my list a little bit for the reasons like, Peter has mentioned. One, hey, a good backup. It does improve the locker room. Two, I mean, he went 5-0 as a starter. It was a brilliant move by Sean Payton and the Saints to bring him in. They're a Super Bowl team. He wasn't going to take the chance of, oh, man, Drew Brees gets hurt, and all of a sudden we're out of the playoff race, right? So Teddy Bridgewater, even though I'm not so sure he's a starting quarterback in football, I think he's really just a great, great backup. That was a huge free agent signing last year. He gave them a chance to still be a first-round bye team because he went 5-0 as a starter with the New Orleans Saints. So, to me, that was one of the bigger 2019 offseason signings that was out there.
I see, and maybe you're operating on a higher level than the rest of us, Chris. Maybe you deliberately crossed the line with both feet on Tannehill so we wouldn't give you a hard time about Teddy Bridgewater. Wasn't a free agency. He stayed with the Saints. How was that a free agency signing? His contract expired and he signed a new one. And he stayed with the Saints.
Okay. What's wrong with that? He was a free agent. He was free. Technical word there, lawyer man, was the free part. Right? And then
there's a lot of guys that anybody who re-signs with their team is
coming from the guy who
now.
Took two guys with one pick. You can't talk. Shut up. Your jurisdiction has runneth over. Be quiet.
I'll trade the two guys for one finger. I'll tell you that right now. All right, am I up?
Yes.
All right. I am going to actually keep within the spirit of the draft, and I am going to pick a quarterback who did change teams last year. Did he change teams? Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Miami Dolphins. Was that his second year there or his first year?
I don't know. You don't know, huh? You don't even know your own pick?
All I know is I'm taking Ryan Fitzpatrick. You've already crossed that boundary. If he was with the Dolphins before that, then who cares? He ended up being very good last year. He was the team MVP.
He was with the Bucs
get supplanted by Josh Rosen. Okay, so good. Then I am in my appropriate lane with this. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Miami Dolphins, best quarterback on the roster last year, MVP of the team, and helped them catapult into respectability when it looked like they were going to fall apart early in the year. once they decided to stick with him, they turned into a team that was competitive last year, and there is some vague sense of hope now for 2020. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay, so my third-round pick, I'm going to go straight free agent, and I'm going to give you a guy who nobody would really think of on this list, and that is Kareem Jackson. So the Denver Broncos signed Kareem Jackson thinking that he likely was going to be a cornerback for him. But he gets to camp, and last year, he and Justin Simmons formed the best safety tandem in the NFL last year. And I think one of the things that you appreciate about a guy like Kareem Jackson is while he's very good in coverage, okay, he is a hitter. He reminds me almost of, sort of this kind of hybrid guy who can play any spot in the back end. Those guys are so rare in football, but he had a very good year, and he contributed basically to the Denver Broncos thinking right now that the strength of our team right now is our defensive secondary. And it's so good that there's a chance that we're just going to be able to let Chris Harris walk out the door. That's how good our secondary is. So to me, I like Kareem Jackson here, and I'll take him as my third-round pick.
Wow. I mean, you're killing it today. You're killing it. I mean, you won the draft. I'm just telling you right now. I love me some Kareem Jackson, and you're right. He's a Swiss Army knife. Can do a lot of different things. You won the draft. I'm giving you that title all the way there. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go with Richie Incognito and the Raiders. Okay, I
like that one.
Yeah. I mean, I like, I'm in the spirit of what you're doing, like some under the radar guys that deserve a little credit. And Richie Incognito, as much as he's been a knucklehead off the field, one thing I was told by people out in Oakland, now the Las Vegas Raiders, was, wow, he was unbelievable in the locker room. I think that shocked people, his leadership there. But secondly, I mean, he was in the conversation for one of the best guards in football last year. And I don't think that can be, we can't deny that talk. No matter what you think of the guy or whatever, he is still a really good football player. And that is, to me, again, the value. They didn't have to spend a whole lot of money to get him. They gave him another chance, really. And, it delivered in a big way for them. And he certainly played some really good football last year.
All right, I am going to, once again, go with a two-pack since there's nobody else to draft behind me.
Gosh.
I'm taking Cole Beasley and John Brown, receivers signed by the Buffalo Bills to help get more out of Josh Allen, and it worked. Yes. What?
No, you're not taking two guys. You are not taking two guys. Pick
I already
one.
did it.
That's it. You're not picking four. You're not picking four.
All right, I'll take John Brown.
What do you mean I'll take a two-pack? Stop it.
Because it's the same position, and I know it's different guys. One's down the field and the other's a slot receiver, but the whole idea was
then I'm
make
taking
Josh Allen better.
Smith and Preston Smith.
I already did that.
Come on, play the game the right way, Mr. Lawyer.
I already did it. All right, geez, boy, I got Chris going, and now Peter's chiming in. Thank God we're not all together. You guys would be throwing me against the wall and body slamming me.
Yes.
All right, and I would tase you for $1,000. We're going to take a break. What you'll be talking about today, including Rob Gronkowski about to sign a new contract for an athletic endeavor, sort of. We'll talk about that next here on PFT Live.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.